Hey everybody, good morning. It's Marty the JavaScript Party, and it is January, June 2nd, 7:51 a.m. Monday. It's gonna be I think it's gonna be a hard day. I don't know why I'm so tired today. I was a little sick all weekend, and now I felt, and then like just like everything. We live in sort of a semi, like there are a lot of animals and stuff that live around us, like feral and wild animals, and they were all up to just all kinds of shenanigans last night. So I'm not sure why. I don't know. I think there's been sort of a local tragedy in our neighborhood that has one of the people that used to feed the cats pretty regularly, or put cat food out pretty regularly. They're very, very sick and in the hospital. So, that's a bummer. But, they haven't been feeding the animals. So now we feed the animals. So now our area has become a more valuable piece of real estate. So there's all kinds of drama going on in the neighborhood, in the wildlife. Um, but anyways, so we have this button working and all that. And one of the features of this project that I've been working on is I've been moving in very, very slow motion so I can try to really understand everything. And um, I realized that one of the major things I've seen wrong, or not quite wrong, but like difficult to work with, kind of hard to maintain, is that most organizations don't really treat, when you're dealing with routing, they don't really treat what's in the route as the truth. Um, they treat like some kind of signal or some kind of subject or something like that as the truth when the route is the actual truth. Um, the you can always count on the route being pointed at the route. Like that's a fact up in here in the address bar. Um, but it makes sense because 9 times out of 10, or many, many times, the origin where you're working on stuff is the source of truth. So, this button in whatever state in, it's easy to think that. But settle down. I forgot to get her a nut. But I think that in this case, the thing I start working on is probably the farthest from the truth, although it can make a request to change the route. And so, like, we could create like a function that listens, that this clicks to, that changes the route, and then we could make probably some other sort of scheme to come in here and into the app and change the app based on this other thing. But Angular's put a ton of resources into having a really robust, although quite, like, there's just tons of it and it's just all over the place, but a very, very robust routing system. I suspect at some point they will be like, oh, we need to sort of take all this wide array of different routing things that we have and sort of combine them, coalesce them into like maybe one service, one component, and that's and yeah, probably that's it. But right now, there's just all kinds of them, and I don't know what they're all about. Also, this is a standalone project. It's not server side rendering though, and I do think all that stuff makes a difference. But typically, what would happen is you would have, well, see, I already have an app routes TS. So it looks, and then there's this app config. These are not too particularly router. Okay, so I do have routes. Do my routes already work? No, because my routes was empty. So this is how you do it, I think, in in Angular, probably 17 plus for a standalone projects, and I think there might be some slight difference for server side rendering, but I'm not sure. I did my last project that I'm currently working on in server side rendering, and there are some differences. I definitely would hold off. I won't. The next one I won't do server side rendering. There's some awkward stuff, especially on the live reload and stuff like that. So, um, anyways, so we have our routes. This route is provided app.routes. Yeah, there it is. And we don't have any routes right now. So we would like to add some routes. Now there's a way you could add routes where they just statically get loaded um, and all that. And then there's a way for lazy loading and it's all about the way you set up your routes here. Now I think a route is a collection of routes, right? And a route has a lot of times I think how I've liked it the most is where if you say const custom route. So this I don't think this name matters to anything other than being usable. And that's of type route. And then it just brought it in there. Rat, what are you doing? And then equals, and then I think you make this like an object. And then I think you have component. And that is, we have one called custom. Not custom, what's it called? App. So you come in here, oh, yeah, custom. And then, love you too. Man, I'll tell you, my patience level is kind of low today. It's equals, and then do not do this very often. I'm hoping to get it. No. Doing that wrong. I think. Like that? No, it's got to be like quotes. And then I think we can hit this button here. I guess maybe we have to import it. I'm just gonna do this, and then I'll ask GPT to help me. Let's see. I was reading a LinkedIn article yesterday where somebody was saying that they're like a junior developer saying, "Man, I can't wait till I can just write code. I don't have to look everything up all the time." And it's like the person's like, "Oh no, it's okay," blah blah blah. And that is absolutely true. And that is a sort of a like a skill. It's an important skill, be able to look stuff up and all that. Okay, so what am I doing wrong? Oh. Do I have to? Well, it says export class. Am I looking at the right one? Oh, this is highlighted down here, and then somehow, well, this does not feel right. Okay. Have I gone insane? I don't have a class, export class name. That's weird. I must have probably Control X'd it. Control Z. Save. Yeah, that's a lot happier. And then I think you give it a path, maybe. Yeah, it looks like path. And I think you just say the name of it. So I want this one to be custom. Okay, so then I think you say routes is equal to, then I think here you can say, I don't know if this is the best way to do this, but push. And then custom, and I guess that's just a route. Custom, it's not custom routes, custom route. And then save that. And then, I don't know. Will it just work? Can I just say custom now? Yeah. So it was I think if I put something else like, um, I don't know, I saw one for my other one, uploader. Yeah, see, it'll automatically just, because it doesn't know what that is. So, and then I think we can add another one for the default route. I'll call that default route. And I'm kind of doing all this from memory. I'm assuming I'm going to get something wrong. And then, oh, wait, not, path is blank. And I think what this will do is it'll make it to where if you go there, you get the custom route. It doesn't show it in the URL, but you still get it. You'll get whatever the custom component is. Now we're not I think we need to use something called a router directive, or maybe it's a router component, to that knows how to read these and load the proper, dynamically load the right component. But I kind of think what I should have done before this is I should have set up a uh, tabular layout, and that's going to put me up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which 5 folders, which is when I start to say, okay, it's time to break these out. And it seems like these two menu ones should be in their own, and then there'll be 2 layout ones, a custom, and those should be in their own folder, and then probably like primitives or something like that would go into, or maybe Viz will just stay sitting as a sibling since it's already a folder anyways. And then if we ever get any other kind of components, the Angular components that we use, I'm kind of hoping Viz can just be smart enough to handle all of the different kinds, but maybe not. Maybe I'll have to have a different visualization component for each, like square, rectangle, or square, circle, sphere, cube. All those different ones would have their own visualization. Maybe, I don't know, or components. But I guess what we need to do is go into our package. And then we're going to have C app tabular layout. What is it crying about? Oh, I lost my quote. Tabular layout, and then components. And I guess this is a good time to put that guy in layouts. And then in a moment we'll move custom layout next there. So thinking I'm going to get a new folder called layouts, and inside of that I'll have my app tabular layout. I'm sort of just mimicking this guy up here. keep an eye right here for our new component folder. And this is taking forever. I feel like Angular 20 seems to be kind of slow. Like every aspect of it just seems kind of slow, but maybe not. So yeah, we have a new folder in here. And then I guess this is probably the best time to move the custom guy over into the new layouts folder. I would say this ranks in my definitely top 10 favorite things about using TypeScript in Angular is that, okay, why is this guy complaining? It's probably some sort of load. What I was saying. So now custom is moved. Tabular. I feel like this is, well, yeah, so it's good to take a look, make sure things still work. I was like, do I want to run the whole end-to-end test just to make sure everything works? But not really. If anything works at all after these moves. Oh yeah, that's my top 10 things. One of my top 10 favorite things about Angular is, and TypeScript together, and I guess Visual Studio Code is how easy it is to just refactor and say, okay, I want this in a new folder and just move it, and it just handles everything for you. Which, man, that is just such a luxury. And that used to be one of my main sort of things that I liked about unit tests, is it kind of pointed out everywhere things are going to get broken when you do a move. And now that's really not an issue anymore. Boy, I'll tell you, the Angular team really does know how to sort of stress out a user group of people, group of users, because this whole, hey, we've deprecated the unit tests, and we might use one of three, and you guys need to try them all out and let us know what you think. And it's just like, dude, do you know how many people probably have been like, okay, yeah, unit tests aren't worth it because like it's deprecated and all that. So, not that I'm a huge advocate of unit tests, but it's just like that sort of open-ended, sort of something's coming, it's going to change, and that's all we can tell you. It's like the end is near. It's just like not good for everybody. But anyways, now we're loading that, and a lot of these timing things may go away, or they may become worse, with this sort of architecture that we're doing, architecture changes that we're doing. All right, so now I have a app tabular layout, and it should just say like tabular layout works or something like that. So at this point, we can come in here and we can add into our routes and add a new route. And I'm going to call it tabular route. And I've worked at places where the selectors didn't have names. So like in here, this app menu didn't have a selector name. Didn't have one of these. So then what that meant was, is that other thing? It's probably called app menu, huh? App. But anyways, the selector name, what am I trying to say? Oh, I've worked at places where we didn't have those. I don't know if that still works, but the reason and I was like, how do we even get there? And it's because, well, when you bring things in through the router, it doesn't care what the selector name is. You're just telling it, hey, this route matches with this. But path is tabular. And then all right, so now we should be able to save that. And then I guess we need to push our tabular route. And like I said, there's another way. Like I can give a function or something like that in here, and then it would lazy load, and it wouldn't load the code that is needed until you hit the link. And I don't really think there's a lot of like if you decide to do it later. I don't think there's a lot of as long as you as long as you know what you're doing. I don't think there's a lot of like technical debt that comes from that. I think that's something that's just as easy to do now or in a month from now if you need it. Um, uh, the lazy loaded ones can be much smaller, because they don't the way it does the bundling. I have seen situations though where like uh, CSS can get really wonky with lazy loading. Um, and other sorts of just edge case situations where lazy loading is less than ideal. Sometimes it can be really not performant. Like I've seen places where the base size is teeny tiny, the fingerprint, but then you click on the very first thing and it just takes forever for the whole thing to start loading. Um, and then there's ways to work around that, prefetch and things like that. But anyways, so let's see if tabular works for us now. Yeah, so now we do have a tabular. We are still using the custom layout though, because we're not doing anything in our app yet. We're not doing anything in here to use the router yet. But those are probably, that's either that would be the next good thing is to like replace this with the router component, um, and then it would basically look to see the what the routes is up here, and then pull the correct component, the appropriate component, and then we also need to be able to change this, right? Well, A, we need to be able to push this and it change those, and then B, we need if you were to manually change this, for this to update properly. And that's what I mean. Like it would be easy to kind of make the architecture like this is the truth. It tells that what to do. That's listening for things like this, and um, then the routing system handles what is supposed to be displayed here. Like that is a way that you see that kind of set up a lot, just because most places they set this up first. Um, but I think it should probably be like this is the truth, um, and then this is listening for changes, and then it can request to change that. And I don't know, we might have ended up with that sort of architecture anyways, but it is for me it's easier to kind of code if I'm thinking in that way, that like the next thing I need to do is add something that listens for change and updates this icon accordingly, and that state and all that. And that might end up being really simple anyways, because I believe in my menu, let's see, I need to pull my two menus into their own folder, and that I think that'll be a little bit easier to make sense of. See, in here it just says if layout is equal to custom, if layout is equal to tabular. So we could probably just listen for changes up in here and then set the layout. So right now the only way the layout gets set out is by a toggle, but we would add like an effect or a subscription. I wonder if they do. have effects for Angular. Listen for route changes. Yeah, so what? Oh, effect, and then router inject. See, I feel like this is if we're subscribing to events, it seems silly to. Hmm. Since we would be subscribing to the router.events, wouldn't it make sense to set that up in the constructor? Yeah. See, the thing I worry about with effects is, and I'm like just starting to get this, but like if you add another effect, I think you're going to end up, if you don't add extra code, you're going to end up resubscribing to this over and over and over again, because the effect runs every time there's a change to anything that you're subscribing to. I think, that's definitely my personal experience. Um, no automatic, you must manually find. So, okay, so you use effects. Okay. Then one signal. Um, the the code runs every time. It seems like the risk of subscribing. Subscribing multiple times. So use effect, yes. No, you want cleanup handled. So I guess effect somehow cleans it up. They're saying that's an outdated style. And I misspelled subscribing. Yeah. Instead, I'm going to use an Angular effects. Yeah. And the problem is while that's not a big deal, like in this scenario where it's just one guy coding, if you had a bunch of people on the team and you guys are making changes to this um, code, and the other people don't even know you're going to be using an effect, um, or you use an effect and they use an effect, but they use an effect to do something else. You guys are inadvertently calling each other's code and just haven't thought through it, what the consequences are. And when you merge that code, the first time it's ever going to, like, let's say you're in a kind of place where you have a bunch of features and then you guys bring all your features together and merge it, you are seeing something very, that may behave very, very differently. I mean, I guess I'm kind of having that like Chicken Little, the sky is falling sort of experience at the moment, but that's like my first thought processes of, um, yeah, see, you have to add like guards and stuff. And that, oh, well, events. Yeah. It seems like you want to do it in the constructor, even because you have to have a constructor either way. If you're going to do your events, if you're going to do the effect, um, so solution two, use signal to hold the router events and go via. So don't. What is this? I think this is a service. Is that basic? No. Yeah. Oh, you create your own signal and then listen to this of out of the navigation end. That's kind of neat, right? So you tell it that the navigation ended, get the signal, and then you update accordingly. Wrap the observable. Okay, so let's go back to that little thing up here. And I think the thing that handles is this take until destroyed. So I don't even think this is a fair comparison there. And the outdated style preferred, I don't know by who. I guess the thing is okay. So here's where I would fall on this if I was, and I'm gonna fall in here as well. I would put it. I'm gonna create a constructor, and then I'm gonna create a subscription. I'm gonna put it right before the effect. Then in the effect, I'll do whatever if I need effects. Um, that way, in the future, if for some reason it gets like you have to do it in the effect, like there's been some changes, um, that code is right next to each other, and I'd be able to update it. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't think these two reasons are enough to change and add like a guard to make sure I don't call multiple times and try to understand that. Anyways, it's 8:25, so it's still pretty early, but I'm very tired, so I'm gonna sign off for now. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Bye.